Good Saturday morning. Today is it's August 6th. It's the Feast of the Transfiguration. It's one of the most mysterious of the feasts. It's not all Gospels, in the Synoptics. It's in Matthew, Mark, and Luke. And in the liturgy today, it's in Luke. Okay, it's the story of the Christ's Transfiguration before his apostles, Peter, James, and John. It's a revelation of who and what he is. There was one interpretation that thought that this was, in a sense, misplaced. It occurred after the resurrection, but the evidence is against it. This occurred before. And it occurs in a context of Christ's prediction of the Passion and the profession of faith by St. Peter. It's a very powerful time. And in it, you have the revelation of who and what is Christ, that he is God-man. See, he fulfills, in a sense, the prophet Daniel's image of God, resplendent in glory, you see. And for me, I have to say this is personal, okay? It's the Feast of the Transfiguration, all right? But for me, there's a note about it. In 1961, I was a novice, okay, in Pittsburgh, okay? And I remember this was the first major feast, see, that I was present to as a Passionist novice. I was in the seminary 2 years before at Dunkirk, okay, as a Passionist seminarian. But now I enter the outfit, as it were. When you become a novice, you're not a seminarian. You are a novice, and then you become a professed Passionist. And you are a member of the order. You're not a seminarian. You are a Passionist student in student life, okay, in that phase of your life. This is primal to me because I am first and foremost a Passionist, because I'm wearing a shirt here, the Passionist shirt, the 300th anniversary a couple of years ago. Yeah. And I remember this feast. This was the time of I think the deepest time in my life where I lived really within the deep monastic tradition of our Passionist community. And it was a time of silence and prayer. It really was of real silence. I mean it. And when mental prayer, contemplative prayer, an hour and a half a day, and the chanting of the divine office, still in Latin, and then the music, because we were still in Latin, the Gregorian chant. And my class could sing, God, we were good. Holy God, we were good. And the beauty, etc. You had to experience it. And when I thought of the Transfiguration, this was the first major feast. And so this was, as they say in jazz, full tilt boogie. This was very primal. And it's funny how it came back to me just today. As I was looking at it, I thought, God, I remember. And in its own way, in a very powerful way, the beauty and the power and the depth of Christ's presence, and I think vocationally present in each of our lives, but I think in my own, is so deeply embedded in the Passionist life, in the Passionist vocation. I don't believe for a second I'd be a priest today if I weren't a Passionist. I don't even know if I would be a Christian. So many of my friends and colleagues, etc., left the faith. But I think it was precisely because I'm a Passionist. And that as a Passionist, I recognized by the contemplative life that I lived and the men that I lived with and their lives and their shared faith, that I saw the transfiguration of Christ, not on Mount Tabor, but on Good Friday and Calvary. St. John's account. When you meditate on the Passion of Christ, as every Passionist does, it's virtually impossible to walk away from it if you really, really embrace it, because you embrace the powerful, transformative love of Christ as he dies on the cross. You see, I'm a Passionist. My spiritual life begins and ends on Good Friday. Not Easter Sunday, Good Friday. And it has given me the meaning of life, just like the Transfiguration in the Synoptics reveals who and what is Christ. In the telling and the prediction of the Passion, in John, it is at the Passion, at Christ. Christ's death on the cross gives forth the birth of the church. And who was standing there? See? Who was standing there? It was John and Mary. See, isn't that something, huh? I believe that. This is very personal for me. When I think of it wasn't before. I was struggling with this one. Oh man, what do I do with the Transfiguration? Because it's not the easiest of the feasts to preach about or to give a reflection on. But when I think back about it, 60 years ago to the day, 60, I was in Pittsburgh, in the choir in Pittsburgh, when this feast was celebrated in maximal beauty. And the depth of what it revealed and what it manifested is with me to this day. I am so grateful for my vocation as a Passionist, not as a priest. That's the role I was called to function at. That's my role as a service of the church. But my identity as a religious man is a Passionist Christian Catholic, but as a Passionist. Even though now I live a very solitary life. I live by myself. I haven't lived by myself now for 33 years since I came back to SLU to chair the philosophy department. I've lived by myself, first in an apartment and here in a condo. And surrounded by the characteristics and the kind of the sacraments of my life. A bear sitting right next to me. See it right there? The bear. I don't know if you can see it, the bear. I don't know if you can see it or not. Anyway, it's my life. But in a sense, the most intimate time of my life is early in the morning. Like here, right now. This is early. It's just 5:15. In the silence of the morning. Not the fullness of the day. In the darkness of the morning. It brings me always into the immediacy of my Passionist experience in the monastery, living monastically, fully monastically, in the deep silence and beauty of the silence. That is the truth. I love the early morning. I got up this morning. I got up at 3 o'clock. Lily's, my dog, was waking up at 2. I said, "Oh, Lil, don't tell me you got to go out." Not at 2 o'clock. Nah, she just wanted to lick me. She was just looking to play. I swear to God. Honest to God. Now she's sleeping on the couch. She's going to start snoring soon. But I love the darkness. And Lily seems to respect that because she doesn't bother me at this time. Believe me, this is during the day. And I was sitting here doing something, she'd be sticking her nose here and say, "Don't ignore me. Don't you dare ignore me. I want to play." Or give me a cookie. Something like that. But not here. Even when she's wide awake, she's sleeping now, but when she's wide awake, she never bothers me in the quietness. And I think she picks up my feelings, my mood. Because I want to be quiet. I'm surprised I'm actually making this video at this time because I don't like doing this. I don't like doing anything. I say the morning office, okay? And I text my friend Sarah to wish her a good day. That's how I start my day. I read the text for the Mass, and I stay quiet. And then the sun comes up. The light begins at 5:30 here in the summertime, okay? And then the day begins, and the busyness of the day begins. And the contemplativeness of the day ends for me. I go about my business. First, go to church, SLU, the university, whatever it may be. The busyness of the day. And it's interesting because it doesn't come back to me in the evening. I'm not contemplative in the evening. I either read or I watch Law and Order or something like that. Movie, maybe. No, not a movie. They last too long. I'll fall asleep during it. That's the truth. But in the morning it's quiet. And I think it's my monastic moment. It's my contemplative moment. I love the silence in the darkness. I do. And its beauty. When light is only indirect. Yeah. That's the truth. And it's the moment in which I'm grateful for life. The gifts I've been given in this life. The people of my life, many of whom I mourn and grieve. Because they are gone. But in the transfiguration of hope, I hope one day to be together with them again. I grieve with hope. And in the great memory that in the darkness is actually the greatest of the light, the presence of Christ. In darkness, he is still the light.